I'm not sure why, but I feel after watching some of the totality of videos that I do have, I kind of feel like to the few people that aren't haters that are subscribing, I owe a bit of explanation in the context of what I perceive as my background. I hope I don't misportray myself as somebody who thinks they're angelic or above reproach. I'm just as creepy and fucked up as everybody else. It's just that I noticed that, and most everybody else is completely retarded. I always had an arrogant, conceited thought process in comparing myself with others. But since the pandemic, this has been nothing but validated and verified that, in fact, people are beyond stupid. Um, I've read that a goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds, and that recently in a big study there was a bunch of people checked. The average was 8 seconds for humans. So we have less attention span than a goldfish. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
Uh, I at least want to be a koi, um, right? If you're going to be a goldfish, be a big goldfish, the biggest. But anyway, I digress. My perspective on things. I mean, I used to be a comedian. I used to cut. I was the guy always trying to make a joke, even when it was inappropriate. Right? Uh, that's my self defense mechanism, and so it's not like I really want to be this angry, hostile, vitriol spewing maniac, but events have occurred that almost force a person into being that. Before I was a comedian, I was a convict, and I don't make it out like all my life I've just been nothing but Mr. Good Deeds. Although there's been many times all throughout life. Life is, everybody wants to make cut and dry. This is what you are, this is what then and now. It's never that way. It's all mixed up. It's all just a big pile of jello dessert with a bunch of chunks of everything in it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing comes in according to plan or time. And if you want to survive on this planet at this time in history, you better be able to adapt to being sometimes a chameleon and sometimes an immutable force of your own, or you just don't survive. I mean, and incredible amounts of luck on our part, although we've had some hard times. We're paying for it. And this thing with Ventura County cops, they have tried to kill us using advanced techniques and technology, but this is one of those places where they've designated an experiment for 15-minute city because these people are just so compliant. They're so passive and weak willed. And it's incredible to see, actually. I always thought Americans had more backbone and gumption. I didn't realize they were, you know, but Californians in particular are almost like bent on going anti America. And I thought that this was a land of milk and honey, not the land of cheap and no funny.
Yeah.
You know, this is where happiness is calling. Where happy happens. California cheese, you know. And then it was for a long time this paradisical coast in comparison with the clogged, smog filled East Coast. But now it's just gotten to be such a. It's just this. It's not Wild West, it's decay. It's not like there's a new frontier. There's just a too crowded can filled with too many rats. You know, this is Rat Nation over here. See something, say something.
Yeah, don't make me sick.
And it's like, we know that they have tried to kill us because all this bullshit about cops, oh, yeah, go 20 years without pulling their gun. Not no mo. I don't know what everybody's talking about, but cop shootings are getting very common. And these sick fucks go out and practice fast draw on the shooting range and all this stuff for real. So they're killers. And it might, in the course of fighting these ridiculous charges that I've got, they could possibly do something, set something in motion that could end up ending my life. And if so, you know, that's what I guess I'm committed to fighting now. The choice has been made for us, really. We're stuck in it. They've already taken their best shots at lowest blows. I mean, we're both suffering health wise. We might be able to pull through it, but there's a good possibility no. But either way, I'm never giving in till my dying day. And I want to try to make some kind of impact if that's the case, because I know change can be done. But if it's not going to serve me, then at least I just want it to serve this thing about homeless people is, doesn't anybody realize this is a deliberately contrived category of which these people happen to be of the same uh, age and race as we need? And all the homeless people, almost all of them are middle-aged white people, except for the urban crisis actors on Front Street. They're, you know, usually black, but not even all them either. So you're going to find that most homeless people are going to be quiet and hiding. They're not out there being. But I'm an old convict, and you just don't fucking pee on yourself like that. If you believe in what you're doing or saying, you have to just stand there and weather the storm. I mean, because you can't fight back from a passive position with these people. I'm hoping, though, that it all works out, and the way that you punish people, the way that we reward people in this world is what? Money. And once you get enough money, then it turns into power. The way you punish people is by taking their money, reducing their power. And so, you know, this isn't like a frivolous lawsuit. Or we want to just get our little lazy. There's nothing lazy about being homeless. But I worked far less overall for much more than I ever did being homeless when we had a home. We were doing good. And all of a sudden, there was cop shit involved with the people that, you know, Sean, all that. You know what I mean? It's always been cops, always been in the background, sometimes in the front ground. And I don't know how I got on the shit list or the could possibly use for later list, but either way, now we're both on it. Now we're both committed. And when we get dealt with by cops now, they pretty much mostly come at us with groups and shit because neither one of us, they know every time we call them all kinds of bad shit. We tell them to get the fuck out of there. We know our rights. We start quoting civil code and penal code, and they get fucked up. I mean, but what they're doing to people, they're destroying people's lives in order to fucking further some kind of weird political agenda Gavin and Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris all have for California. And it's sick and twisted. First has to stop is all the border jumpers got to go. And then fix the schools, but they could fix California. But I mean, here's like the classic one of the lies. They got everybody on permanent drought restrictions. There's plenty of water in California. There's plenty. There's no drought. This is all, they just say it. And all of a sudden, well, there must be a drought in California. No. There rains. It gets hot. It hasn't even been especially hot this year. I can guarantee all those fires are fucking arson. Almost all of them. Arson by who? Well, some fringe element. Like the government, you mean? Uh-huh. So, we got forced into this fight. And in a way, after the pandemic, with the masks and people telling us to wear masks, kicking us out of places, that's where it really started. Tracy was the first person on earth to fucking call bullshit on the COVID hoax. But then a few days later, I'm on board. And then it was a long time before anybody else agreed with us. And look how that turned out. Then the vaccine thing, all we did was do a little research, but then, of course, it seemed to make sense that putting all this horrible shit in your body would not help you. Uh, I don't know how people think that metals and poisons in your body is going to fix something. What? Um, or radiation for cancer. Doesn't radiation give you cancer? Chemotherapy, the chemicals they use in chemo are harsh on the body. The cure that almost kills you. It's fucked up. So we find out the whole medical industry is corrupt and lying and murderous. Oh, why wouldn't they be? Just like a mechanic on your car. He's not trying to work himself out of a job. Find out the whole legal system is compromised, especially now under Biden with the DOJ and Homeland Security. And they already were sick and twisted before. Now they've just snapped. Someone just like cut a cord somewhere in their brain, and so they're free to just go as way out as they want. The military, international politics, I don't know how much of that shit I believe, although I have been in the military and I served this country. I feel like what this country owes me is not any kind of number in cash or any particular benefit any more than anyone else. But for serving, I feel like they owe me the country that they had promised me back then. And what they're doing to homeless people is it's all been made up in the last 30 years, and it's for a particular reason. I can almost see that, but it should be criminal. The suffering that goes on out here, and the media, those people need to just get fired and fucking put in prison or something, because with their words, they are killing people. And it's gotten to the point to where they've beaten the homeless masses down to where they almost believe it themselves. But I know that it's all bullshit. It's made up by the media, or the image is created. Someone else probably has the idea. It's enforced by the cops and given permission by the courts. But, you say to anybody else, you tell, we're going to do this to the blacks. or the Mexicans or the Chinese,
Yeah.
or you even say we're going to do this to just the whites, any particular racial group, people are going to flip hard and loud. You say we're going to do it to women. No, you got, feminists, queers and fags, you LGBT, uh, any other group is represented. You say you're going to do it to the poorest, most destitute, poverty stricken, deprived, miserable people for whatever reason, their own fault or someone else's. These people are the poorest with the least amount of resources. You say we're going to do it to that. We're going to turn the whole fucking nation's orientation from, instead of being compassionate and wanting to help, to being judgmental and wanting to hurt. Sometimes even to the point of insanity, where people go out and do vigilante homeless killings and shit. That's insane. But meanwhile, we got 10 to 20 million, according to Trump, illegals that have poured across the border, and they're getting everything. What has happened? Have we gone reverse world? This is some kind of like CERN parallel universe shit, but it's not what happens on my Earth. Uh, so I've come to the conclusion that it could. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that I somehow get out of this with Trace. But even if I could manage to shove her through the door first, uh, I've just committed to standing my ground for what I believe in, at whatever cost. I don't have a choice. I don't want to be hurt or die or any of that shit. But if it comes down to that it could, because these motherfuckers are really psycho. And I come from a family of millionaires. They hate me, but not any of them. None of my friends. We know thousands of people in person, and nobody could even cut us a few bucks to just do what we need to do. I mean, we're talking a few hundred even could make a difference. A few grand, we could start over. But nobody's doing that. Nobody. And we're waiting, having to fight Social Security for shit that we rightfully deserve. And I don't know why we occupy a special position in this fucking. But we're going to have voice heard starting this week. And whether or not they do anything right, it could all turn against me. I could end up fucked over the whole thing. But I'm going to say what I feel, what I think. They might not, they might beat me and throw me in jail or whatever for something ridiculous that I didn't even do. But they are going to hear me. Yeah, I do have a facility for that. So this has been long and rambling, but I just want to let everybody know this is where I'm coming from. I don't have an option to be, hey, YouTube, let's do the presentation. You know what I mean? I can only break it down to here's my experience in reality. But ours is tempered by the fact that we're looking at almost all the different, and we know most of them, homeless people in Ventura County. And there's a consistent pattern of harassment, persecution, prosecution, and death involved with contact with the police. It's weird death, like poisoning type death, decay. They're using DWs, they're poisons, all kinds of shit. I believe these dirty motherfuckers, they'd do anything, especially if they thought they could keep, from feeling repercussions. The thing is, repercussions come in the form of the oppressed people eventually get mad enough to where they rise up. So it's just wrong what's happening in America. People need to wake up and realize it ain't the homeless that are the bad people. They're just people. Because if you look at comparisons between the homeless and the non homeless, I bet all those same crime statistics are equal ratios all the way across the board. They're just people. Some are fucked up, some aren't. But they're really targeting homeless people and hurting them badly. Later.